All right, so let's talk about a supply chain intelligence system. Now, I like systems because systems are a process, they're repeatable, there's something you can do again and again and get better at every time you do it versus something you get lucky at doing and then you're like, now how do I do that again? So, we want to build a system for our supply chain intelligence process. And there are 5 steps: create, add, connect, create, and make. And let's talk about those. You want to create goals, KPIs, the models, and the analysis. You want to kind of build that out. What are your goals? And we're going to talk about that. We talk about structure, and we're going to talk about KPIs. What specific pieces of information do you need to collect for your supply chain? And Howard, very keen on understanding those key pieces of information. Your models, how do they affect each part of your supply chain? And then how do you analyze things? Why would you want to analyze things the same way every time? Because you can test your analysis. Is it working? I can put out there that the economy before the pandemic is much different now after the pandemic. So any models you had going on, you definitely have to be testing those and making sure that they're working still or changing and shifting to the new economy. And then adding new KPIs and identifying the cause and effects of changes within those KPIs, key performance indicators, statistics, things that you collect. Now, Howard, when you think about things that you pay attention to in industry, what are some of the key KPIs that you're focused on?
Always is on-time delivery, and that's a major one right now, right? The big challenge trying to get stuff in on time when we say we need it. We also have purchase price variance, which measures the difference between the price previously paid versus the price now, which is also a challenge right now with the increase in pricing. And then also order signal aging. Basically, how long does it take to convert a purchase requisition or requirement into an actual purchase order?
And that's important. We'll talk about that when we talk about the structure, the pillars, and that's talking about internal processes. So the time on those things is key, especially in a crisis scenario. So then you want to connect your KPIs, your key pieces of information, to the sources where you collect that information and connect those together. Whether you have an ERP system, an MRP system, Excel spreadsheets for some folks that may be out there, lots of different tools out there. So you got to have the KPIs, the information you need, and then find sources to feed information into those KPIs. Howard, what are some of the systems that you guys use to connect your KPIs to your sources?
We have definitely ERP systems. We use SAP, starting to use it at Moog now. Interesting system to tie in how our performance is and use that to a computer system to make sure that we're tracking how we're doing. Another thing we really pay attention to with KPIs though is how are we serving our internal customers and our stakeholders? Being in procurement on my side and supply chain and being in manufacturing and aerospace, how are we serving our customer who is the production floor? How are we making sure that our parts are on time? Is it to what they need so that we can ultimately get out to our customer on time?
On time delivery every time. And as we create those KPIs, we have to create decision points. Decision points are when we're going to make decisions. And especially in this world of information overload, constant information, we can never have too much information. Sooner or later, we have to make a decision. So you have to find out when are you going to pull the trigger on a decision, make a decision so you can actually take action to get something done. And the whole point here is to stay ahead of your competition. The time it takes to make a decision needs to be relatively faster than your competition, meaning other people in your industry. I mean, if it takes 30 days to make a decision and you can make a decision in 25, you are relatively faster than your competition. But the only way to do that is to identify what those decision points are, collect the information to make those decisions, and then actually execute on making those decisions, and then actually make your decisions. We've talked a lot about industry, but I want to kind of bring it down to an example of something I'm going through personal, because we all have our own personal supply chain, the same process. Like college applications, collecting information, just to kind of walk through this. KPIs. What are my kids' education goals? What is the budget that I have for college? Where are the schools located and what kind of grade or education can they get at those different schools? So those are the information points I need. So I have to go find sources and make sure that those KPIs line up with my kids' interest as well as what's available for them in the marketplace, and identify cause and effect. If my kids don't get really good SAT scores, they're not going to go to some schools, as well as if they do really, really well, then they could get opportunities at other schools. Then we connect those sources of information with the KPIs, bank accounts, uh, 529 plans, those type of things. Start to connect the KPIs, information in the schools, U.S. News report on colleges, make sure that they make sense. Then we come to a decision point. All decisions have to be made by May, so you can get people committed to the school, right? So they can take action, as well as other people can be released so they can find other places in other schools. And then we actually will make a decision based on that. The reason I share that example is I want to just kind of tie in how we have our regular supply chain, regular process that we do this every day. So, with a big supply chain and industry, it can be very complicated sometimes. So I just want to kind of bring it down to an elementary level that we understand on a daily basis. And then we can start to apply it to a bigger picture, because the next step is taking action. So what I'd like for you to think about is, do you see parts of a supply chain intelligence process in your daily activities right now? How can you shift information to make better decisions? And most importantly, what can you do in the next 3 days to make a change?